All right, so welcome to another Close Assault. This is the second one, at least, unless my timing and release is going to be all screwed up. Again, we are taking themes, small themes, singular topic themes, at least we try to keep it singular topic, and expand on those, whether it's from our own opinion or from what we've read in the community posts, etc. So, as I'm playing my game, Pete, I have no idea what the hell gusts do in the game. And so I've got to dig through the rules, dig through my charts, and I come across different charts and they tell me what to do. All right, next game, that happens. Game after that, I look for something else. When is too much, Pete? When is too much in looking at the charts? Do you think as a player?
Okay. Yeah. For me, I don't use play aids. I see play aids as a useful pre-game reminder tool. I do not see them as a tool to be used during the game because, in my experience, they slow the game down, particularly in face-to-face play where table space is at a premium already, right? You've got for some people, the dice tower. You've got your dice tower. You've got your spaces for your system counters. You've got your drink. You've got your scenario card. You've got your scenario markers and things like that. So where are you putting all these play aids? You're putting them on a side table? Okay, well, what happens if the play aid you need is at the bottom of that pile, or that you find that the one you're referring to, you're constantly thumbing through a booklet of play aids. That's not that's not helping you play at a reasonable pace. That that's basically you trying to learn the game during the game. Play aids are about clarifying the more difficult or the more convoluted or complex concepts of ASL. That's the time for doing that is before the game. Just like victory conditions. You don't try and work out the victory conditions halfway through the game. You look at them before the game. If you don't if neither of you understand it, you work it out beforehand. That's why I get this feeling that some people don't think that you have to do a little bit of work before the game. ASL is not just a pickup game. So yeah, I see all these play aids and I think, yeah, really cool. But really, when you come down to it, if you look at the volume of all those play aids, you might as well just read the damn rule book.
Right. Now,
You
some
know?
play
I
aids
mean,
obviously are useful, right? I mean, some of them
yeah,
we kind of can't do without.
flowcharts,
Yeah.
flowcharts, the
But
flowcharts.
I gotta be honest with
But
you.
you don't. Yeah,
I think the flow charts are the pre-game reads, what you described, like the artillery, like the OBA, the overrun. Those charts are not easy to kind of peruse. I think if you've got OBA in your game and you say, well, I played OBA 5 scenarios ago, or I did a whole bunch of shitload of overruns five
yeah,
games ago, you need to go through those charts again because those are probably rule sections. And the rule sections, obviously, we know, Chapter C, OBA is kind of convoluted. Reading those flow charts beforehand because they're extensive will clarify that when you come up during the game. So if I'm overrunning you, Pete, and you say, oh, that's bullshit, you don't get this much firepower, and that because I'm familiar with the flow chart and where that piece of information is within the flow chart, I can very quickly go through it instead of having to go through the flow chart bit by bit by bit. But I agree with you. Like the charts, like the portage point cost and reducing your movement factors. To me, that's an irrelevant chart. That chart, I've never used that
that's a
chart.
learning tool. That's a learning tool
Right,
before you start playing.
right.
That's something. These are 8 memoirs to help you learn the processes. The automated flowcharts, the click flowcharts,
Yep.
the OBA flowchart on Vassal. That's a great way of streamlining the process because it's yes no questions and you click yes or no,
Right.
and that tells you what to do. That's a really good time saver during a game, right? If you're online
Yep.
where time is really valuable, using the flowchart an OBA flowchart is really good when you are unfamiliar. Using the play aids can be useful, but do you need to have 20 bloody play aids and refer to all of them during a single game? No, because most of what those play aids are there to help you learn a particular concept before playing. They're
Right.
not they're not there as a in-game assist.
All right. They're
You know,
summarizing
if you
game concepts before
yeah,
you get to it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. I mean, basically, put the work in, people. Read the rules.
Yeah.
Use a use the play aid. I actually think play aid is a poor term. I think these are rules aids. You know, these are clarifications for learning.
Right.
They're learning aids, and yeah, just
And we're not.
you're
We're
going to bog down the game. You're going to make it a less enjoyable experience for everyone, and that sort of leads on into my thing about slow play being self-destructive. You know, you faster play. You know, playing reasonably fast. You can, with experience, get to the point you hardly ever need to refer to the rules during play for the basic concepts. All too often, I see people who have not done any pre-game preparation having to look at the rules in depth during a game
right.
for the most basic core mechanics.
Right. And even like you
Now,
say,
I understand.
that's where the play aids come involved. Is that
Yeah.
helps you if there are existing play aids for what you're dealing with, like
Mm.
movement point cost or things like that,
Yeah.
or whatever. Review that before. That's your pre-game prep. Therefore, you're familiar with it. You go into the game. It streamlines it, like you say, speeds up play. The other player will respect you a little more because he may not know the answer, but because you've done your homework, you may not be a pro at it, but you're familiar with the concepts, and you bring those concepts to the table quickly, and you resolve the issue straight up, and then you continue the game, and then you hopefully you roll your dice and crush them.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is, my ASL playing time is rare and valuable to me. I do not want to be sit there twiddling my thumbs while someone spends 10 minutes trying to work out how to apply a rule, especially when we've already determined what the scenario is going to that we're playing. We've pre-selected the scenario,
Right.
and we
Yeah.
know that it's going to be an amphibious assault. You know,
Right.
a beach landing.
Yeah.
You
Especially it's
need
like
to
yeah,
know
something
those.
esoteric like that. Yeah.
You need to know those rules before you start play,
Or be
and
very
this is
familiar. Yeah.
why. And this is one of the reasons why I think pickup games are worthless. They're a waste of time.
Right.
They they do nothing for either player in terms of embedding the rules or embedding concepts. They're a waste of electrons, especially online. And there's certainly a waste of time when face to face, when usually you've traveled to play face to face.
Right.
You've got limited time.
About the only time pickup games would be useful is if both of you already know the scenario. But then
Yeah,
again, we've got tons of new scenarios and new packs, as we mentioned, like the Hasmo, LCP,
yeah,
FT, all stuff like that. And so, why play something you've already played before? Let's play something good, something useful, something new. Hopefully, something that's updated, and go for there. And like you said,
yeah,
you're going to run in those pitfalls where it might have some weird old SSRs that you're just reading the scenario now. I mean, I do it constantly. Anytime I
yeah,
pop out a scenario, I'll look through the scenario special rules. One will hit me with a left, screwball, and then I got to research 20 minutes into it, for your quick pickup game into figuring out how the hell this SSR rule works.
Well, I mean, the other thing is that choosing a scenario for some of us, it's not an easy thing to do, especially for those of us who don't want to play the usual suspects ever again. I would be quite happy never to play any of the core module scenarios, the ones that came in the original module, or even things like any of the 89 annual scenarios. I've played them all
All right, Pete.
several
All right,
times.
let's stop the podcast. Let's go with a throwdown of Gavin Take. Let's go.
No, 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 no. I'm not. I'm saving that one for myself, man. I need to do research on that one.
Uh, yeah, that's pretty crazy. But yeah, I mean, yeah,
I'm going to slam it. I'm going to slam it on historical basis. I'm going to slam it on it teaches the wrong things. It's worthless as a teaching scenario. It bears no relation to history, and it it artificially props up your tactical ineptness.
it's a little different
You know,
one.
it
But
gives you it gives you a get out of jail pass because of the high leadership that is involved. You know, with a high leadership DRM, a -3 leader, you can make poor decisions with your fire attacks, but that -3 is going to get you out of trouble more often than not.
yeah, every time, every time,
Yeah.
every time. But yeah, I think the most, maybe the most underutilized play aid, again, pre-game preparation, is your
Yeah.
nationality capability charts. I got to be honest with you. I'm flipping through the American one right now. Because I remember this before. Essentially, the notes on the American one is plentiful ammo is included. Deduct one black chip for normal ammo. It's like OBA, and the rest of the
Yeah.
crap is USMC. And pretty much there are no miscellaneous notes. But when you go to Hungarian, Axis minors, Finnish, it's all those notes within that chart are pretty much game altering manifestations of the rules. The Japanese bonsai charge, reduced
Oh,
strength. You know, it's got stuff you
Japanese.
need to know. So you're not treating your Japanese 447 like your other guys.
Yeah.
But that's pre-game, not in the middle of the game. Okay, what can my guys do? Pre-game.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is where pickup games again. Oh, I want to play a Japanese scenario. Have you ever played Japanese before, either for or against? No. Now's not a pickup game is not the way to learn how to do it.
Nope.
You're not going to learn anything. You're not going to retain any knowledge you gain because you don't know the rules for them. You've got no context to place your game experience against for retention.
Why don't you just teach me, Pete?
No, I don't have the free ASL time to teach, and I'm not cut out to be a teacher.
All right. And so therefore,
There are
yeah.
there are better teachers out there. I'm also not that good a player. I make a lot of mistakes in my own game, and I've got such limited playing time these days that I want to focus on improving my game.
All right. And so, like you said, the
And
pickup games. I mean, you might have a different expectation than me. Like if pickup games, like I'll play anything, and if my opponent's better than me, she'll just teach me the rules. Where you might come against a player like yourself, which is not that's not your cup of tea. You're not there to teach
now,
people to play the game. You're there to play the game, and that's just going to diminish the ASL experience for you, and especially
yeah,
if that's at a tournament during your free time, you don't want to burn that time because you have limited time at a tournament, and it's
well,
that's
the other
something
thing
we
is
don't want
like
to do.
if I go to ASLOC, when I go to ASLOC, right, I'm expecting to do sort of arrange a game at short notice with someone I already want to play, you know, and that's fine, that's fine. But we still take that 20 minutes before the game to work through to do a bit of work, and secondly, we don't choose a scenario that neither of us have basic familiarity with either the nationality or the special characteristics that are involved.
Right.
So, for example, I'm probably not going to do a pickup game with caves, or a pickup, yeah, with caves, or that features Panji. The reason is I don't play those games normally, so the rules have not featured in my. I don't retain them.
Right. They're just
In fact,
you don't use them
I,
enough.
I,
You don't use them enough.
well, I don't use them at all. I don't play cave scenarios.
Right.
That's one of the things I don't do. Because they just don't interest me. That part of ASL, World War II via ASL, just doesn't interest me as a game. Now, I'll read the history. Absolutely enjoy reading the history about it. But as a game, as part of ASL, leaves me absolutely cold.
Right. Right. No, and again, that's the usefulness of some play aids in dealing with caves. I don't even know if there are any play aids for caves. I got to be honest with you.
Oh yeah, there's definitely a
There's
couple of
got to be
polls.
something out there. I'm not sure
But
how.
there's also really good articles in the journals and things like that.
All right. How about this? You've got a rule section that's half a page. It's one column in your electronic ASL rulebook. The play aid is 15 pages describing that one column. Do you have issues with that?
Well, and you could almost say that's the night rules.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Exactly.
The
Exactly.
night rules are very short.
Yeah, 6
In fact,
pages.
yeah, yeah. They're not very long at all. They're actually a lot. People get overwrought about night. Night is not that hard. The thing is, it's a lot harder to play face to face because you're not what you see on the tabletop does not match what the game is trying to represent. So you're having
Right.
to imagine a lot of things.
Right.
Play a night scenario on you play night on Vassal. Oh wow, you don't you cannot understand once you've played night on Vassal.
You lose your virginity tonight on Basil?
It holds no fear.
Right.
In fact, it's actually a better experience than it would be face to face. I won't play night scenarios face to face anymore.
Right. It'll remind you of so much stuff. It takes away a lot of the mysteriousness of night.
It's too much hard mental work. And ASL is a hard enough game to play mentally without adding more and more layers of artificial viewpoints.
Right. Right.
Imagination. You have to keep more and more layers of imagination going simultaneously.
So
Yeah,
if you
so play it. If the concept and the rules is only half a page, right?
right.
Most of those 16 pages better be purely about the process.
Oh, better be.
It should not be about explanation.
Right. Right.
And I don't think there is a section. I mean, the only one I can think of, and actually, is the Goliath rules, because most of the rules from that are in Chapter 8 footnote.
Oh, good Lord! Just delete them. Just delete them. Those are a nightmare, especially if you try to SSR some sort of bullshit truck to make it into a Goliath. Oh my God! It just doesn't work.
Don't knock the Amy H. That is a brilliant scenario.
That's a piece of shit if I ever smelled one. But
people
love it. But to be honest with you, the way the SSR is, I mean, it's just not conducive. There's so many loopholes in it. But I get the idea. But they could have made it a lot more simpler by just saying, the driver just detonates a truck for 30 firepower factor like an FFE. That's literally all you have to say. Instead of saying, well, I treat it like a Goliath and whatever. But
I think too many people tried to be too clever with that SSR.
Yeah, they tried
in the play. When I played it, I played it very simply, and it was hilarious.
Yeah, Exactly. It's too
But the
you
other thing
try
is
to be too cute, like you
the
said,
the
too
guy,
cute.
the guy, yeah. So once
Have
you
you seen
start
some of
being
these
cute,
guys at tournaments? They're not that cute.
oh yeah, yeah. But I mean, the guy I was playing at Aslock, we had a blast because we took 20 minutes to work it out. And during that 20 minutes before the
Oh
game,
my
we were
god.
drinking and stuff like that. We just figured it out because it's an SSR. It's not in the main body of the rules, right?
Right. Right.
So what we figured out, okay. Oh, and because we took the time, I actually ended up with developing a plan on how to use it
Yeah.
in the game very simply without bogging me down while we were discussing it. So I came out of that ahead of the game almost,
So
ahead
that
of the rules overhead because I took the time to discuss it because I was already in that frame of mind. I was I was looking at the concept. I had a context
so was
in
that your
front of
ploy
me.
to delay your opponent the game start time so you don't get penalized by having to think
No,
about
no,
a half
because
an hour how to use it?
no, because we were drinking scotch,
Oh, there you go.
and it was
Scotch
an
will do it.
evening game. It was an afternoon game, and we were having a lot of fun, because we got on really well. So it was a very relaxed environment.
All right, Pete. Top two play aids that you must have in a game.
A dice tower.
Dice tower.
Yep,
That's a play aid. Absolutely, absolutely play
that's
a
what I
good
consider a play
a
aid.
a good dice tower. A good not
And the
not
IFT.
not
And the
plastic shit.
IFT.
Well, the IFT is not a play aid. It's a you have to have it. There
Yeah,
is
yeah,
no
but no, no, no,
summation
no,
of the IFT
no,
though.
no, 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 no. I'm saying the IFT, not the IIFT.
Oh yeah.
The
The
idiot
IFT is yeah.
sentimental. Yeah, we would just ban that shit. Just it's an optional rule that should never have been made an optional rule.
Right.
It's like battlefield integrity.
Yeah. Yeah. The one chart I
Okay,
love. The
good.
one chart I love.
Actually, yeah,
Terrain chart. Again, if you're dealing with a myriad of vehicles, again, you should know this. And I do this on my Valzo games. It's a lot of times I'll print on the map based upon, like, if I have a truck expenditure, a half track expenditure, fully track, I'll kind of do like a slash, especially if I have really shitty vehicles, because I don't
yeah,
know those expenditures, and I'll take that chart, the movement point expenditures, and literally print them as a label on some
oh,
of those terrain
oh,
features. And so I'll pre-prep
yeah.
the game that way. That way I never have to look at the chart to see how many movement points it is.
Okay, the terrain chart. I prefer to have it in alphabetical order, not
Yeah.
rules order.
Yeah, I agreed. And then, of course, I think as I'm
So that's
playing,
two.
yeah, it's some of the other ones. And again, because I think it's been
I
refined enough. I think the OBA chart, if you play a
yeah,
lot of OBA, especially your a lot of guys like to do beach invasions, your naval OBA, stuff like that. It's good to have, but once you start playing it, it will become, like you said, just like night rules. It'll become second
yeah,
nature, and you won't have to
yeah.
revert it after that.
The biggest thing is laying that first spotting round.
Right.
That's the most complex part of it,
Right. And after that,
really.
after you iron that out for 5 or 6 games, then it'll be second nature. And then choose games, with concealments. A guy's not in a static position, but he's got conceal just in different areas
So,
where you have to approach all
mm,
that crap.
I would say that okay, I've been playing for what 37 years, on and off, but for a lot of that time, at least 5 to 6 games a year. It's only recently that I bothered to read the artillery, the OBA rules in full, but I read them in concert with the flowchart, and then I played a whole bunch of games with the OBA, not big games, but small games with small aspects of OBA.
And you're a
Now I'm
master.
absolutely comfortable. Now I no longer avoid OBA. I used to avoid scenarios that had OBA.
Yep. All the time. All the time.
I don't bother anymore. It's just another scenario now. I used to avoid night scenarios. Why? Because I hadn't played enough night to learn them, to learn the concepts.
Yeah.
Now, then when I did is I played
Consecutively.
five.
Played
I played
consecutively.
five. I played a concerted, consecutive mini campaign of night scenarios, of about 6 night scenarios, and by the end of it, I was that comfortable with night. I will play it on Vassal, will not play it face to face, at the drop of a hat.
Right. Right. Absolutely. That's what everyone says about the night. Vassal or nothing.
On the night, it's the best play aid ever written.
Yeah.
Article play aid.
Yeah, absolutely. Tons of examples.
Actually, for those of you who are just getting started with Hollow Legions and Desert, it's sort of a little bit out of date now. It may have some errors, but the old vernacular guide to Chapter F is actually really useful for getting rid of rules speak and getting it basically into a everyman language.
Yeah, that was my third pick.
Yeah.
All right, Pete. That was another great session we have here. Nailing on play aids, what's good, how to use some, how many not to have, and essentially pregame preparation to make your games go a lot smoother and hopefully much more enjoyable for both you guys going on. And then hopefully you'll have a ASL opponent for the rest of your career. Cool.
Yeah, and by the way, dice glasses should be banned.
Good dice tower. A good dice tower. All right. Thanks a lot, Pete.
Ciao.